broken metacarpal bone in the hand, hernia surgery, ACL surgery, two broken wrists at different times, a broken collarbone requiring surgery, and that was two plates and a dozen screws, dislocated hand bone, ankle tendonitis, elbow tendonitis, shoulder tendonitis, and a whole lot of road rash. Those are the highlights of the injuries I've had throughout my life thus far, which started back in 1973 on a date that I don't remember anything about, but it was a very special day in my life where my journey on being a health focused, despite that list of injuries, a health focused person. And I am recording this particular episode because I had some friends and a few of my listeners, which there aren't a whole lot of right now, but suggest that I take just a few minutes and explain a little bit about who I am and why I'm on this Healthspan journey, talking about all things health and fitness. So here goes. I think our culture sadly deprioritizes health, and it's at the expense of our quality of life and literally the years of life that we live. And that is what could possibly be more important than how long we live and how long we get to physically and mentally and emotionally enjoy things. So I am focused on maximizing my health span. And because I've spent my entire career around this world of health and fitness and wellness, that I'm in a position now where I'm going to try to share what I know. So I did not come from a health focused family. So it was just through a series of events and decisions that I'm here, even sharing my experience, my journey, the journey and experience of my guests, which I'm hoping to have many, many more on. As of this moment, I've had one guest on, and I've got a few more lined up. So I'm stoked I'm stoked to get the insight of other people's point of view as well to add to the conversation. And I'm going to continue to learn. So as of today, I'm taking a course right now in whatever, and that's as this moment of recording. But whenever you are listening to this, rest assured I'm probably in some other sort of course. So I'm constantly learning, and I think it's I'll say that my vision and the reason for starting this podcast is to I'm driven by impact at this point in my life, at this point in my career, and I'm going to say a number that is still hard for me to really say or kind of wrap my head around, but I want to impact the health span of 1 million people. So there it is. And that's through whatever medium is available at any time. I realize these things change. So as of today, podcasting, social media, speaking to groups, of course, doing my individual coaching. So I do have a small group of one-to-one coaching clients, many that I've worked with for years. And I do one-off individual consults with people. But the main punchline is that I want to truly have an impact on humanity with this little tiny snippet of things that I have experience with and expertise in. So outside of the health, fitness, physiology, rehab world, I don't know much about anything. And so, but Healthspan, I do know all things that are under the Healthspan umbrella. And so I am sharing my passion and really specifically trying to make sure that information can be shared in a way that people can easily understand, and you can literally start today to do something to live a more healthy life, longer life, and really soak all the joys of life in. So I want to talk briefly about my story, and I'm going to give you what I figure out is like my 5 highlights of me. But my story starts being born in New Hampshire, really raised in Farmington, New Hampshire, home of the Tigers. I was a pretty good student, not because I was particularly smart. Learning does not come easy for me, but I have I suppose, the gift of working hard and discipline. I have no natural talent at all, athletically or academically, but I work my butt off, and I'm okay being uncomfortable, and that's just the way it is for me. I'm okay putting myself into uncomfortable situations, not the least of which is starting podcasting when I don't really know anything about it. But as an example, I was thinking about challenges that I've gone through. I am terrified of public speaking, and that's all through high school and college, to the point where literally breaking out in hives, sweating, shaking. I mean, heart palpitations, feeling like I'm going to throw up. And these were for like book reports in high school and even through college, like trying to talk to my, small group in my occupational therapy program. Like I would just have these panic attacks, and I realized that the best way to manage them, the best way to deal with this challenge was to take it head on, to go through the problem as opposed to around it. And so I've put myself in positions ever since that time to, in this example, speak publicly and get in front of people. And it is like anything else, you put in the reps, things do get easier. And I think that is a nice sort of segue or punchline to changing health, um, changing the, you know, lifestyle and decision making and habits that we have. It's hard, but sometimes the best way to deal with hard is to go straight through things. So that is probably one of the best things that I have going for me is that I am okay being uncomfortable. Um, Not because I like being uncomfortable. I can just tolerate some things that are uncomfortable. So that is brings us to, I suppose, the 5 highlights of my life. And let's start with University of New Hampshire, where number 1 on this list is I went to UNH, into the occupational therapy program. And probably the most significant part of that period of my life that is that I worked full time while going to school full time. Parents didn't have the funds to, put me through school or anything, and weren't going to, sign for loans. And so this is of course dating myself. So I was able to work and invest in my, tuition for school. I commuted from home, so I was not a traditional student that get to hang out in the dorms or anything. And I worked my butt off. I got by. It worked super hard, but I think the life lesson for that was, I did not allow myself to get too distracted with, partying or having a, bunch of extracurricular stuff. It was head down and focus. But that really kind of planted the seed, that, discipline, I suppose, planted the seed to the second biggest highlight of my career, of my life, or thus far, is my life as a cyclist. So I've been a lifelong cyclist from way back doing wheelies. I got pictures of me doing wheelies and doing jumps on my steel Schwinn bike, which must have weighed 35 pounds or something. But that led to doing some mountain biking, and eventually became a road racer, racing my road bike. And I did that full time for about a dozen years and worked my way up to a category 1 cyclist. And what basically just means that that's a elite amateur. I did not quit my day job, so working full time and racing full time. And that was, there's so many lessons that are built in there, not, not to mention injuries, which I said at the beginning. But cycling has an awesome community, and I did most of my racing, vast majority of my racing in Seattle. And that was an awesome time in my life. And now I'm kind of come full circle, and now I'm not on a steel Schwinn bike, but I am riding mountain bikes all the time now. So that is my race a little bit. I wouldn't really call it super focused racing, but I get into some events. But cycling has been a huge part of who I am. So you'll hear many upcoming episodes on endurance training and cardiovascular health that are related to cycling. So I'm sure I'll throw in some cycling stories along the way that are pertinent to Healthspan topics. Third highlight of my life thus far is my career. Again, I'm an occupational therapist and a certified hand therapist. Big leaps that I've had in my career. Probably nearly 10-year stint at a trauma hospital in Seattle, where I saw really terrible injuries, but learned a lot. Developed my clinical skills and my professional skills. I started, speaking at a couple of national conferences, local and national conferences. Wrote a book chapter, wrote some articles, and that was a big boost in my career. And again, a great community in that setting as well. The next highlight was for my life, I would say, is that I'm an entrepreneur. So I opened up my private practice, left the hospital, opened up my private practice, movement, rehab, and performance. And that was in 2015. Had to retire from the road racing scene at that point. Still only 24 hours in a day. And so that was starting a business was no small feat. Definitely one of the most challenging things I've ever done. The size of my practice is wax and wane. It started off, it was just me. I was doing everything from sweeping the floor and cleaning the toilet to slinging the phone and treating patients and all that stuff. So, staffing size is wax and wane through the years. as high as maybe 10 staff altogether. And now still an entrepreneur, and I'm still involved in the practice. My main focus now is my one-to-one coaching services. So it's a VIP coaching experience that I work with people who are interested in health, fitness, nutrition, all things Healthspan, and really are looking for a VIP experience. This is remote. I have a smartphone app, do video calls, telephone calls, text messaging. Basically, it's a 24/7 way that I can support people. And my typical clients are in their 50s and 60s, I would say, and professionals, and they're really marked in part by decision fatigue, really, and trying to figure out the best way for them to overcome whether it's injuries or habits, or to gain strength and to improve physical durability as we continue to age. And that is my forte. I don't have fads. I only have science and a whole bunch of support and accountability. So that's really what I spend my focus on now. I do also do some mountain bike coaching as well. I really think that the experience of being an entrepreneur helps facilitate my vision, like having a future vision. Like as an entrepreneur, you really need to have a real long-term outlook on things, because it takes a long time to accomplish big things. And if you need instant gratification, then do not be an entrepreneur and do not be a podcaster. And I suppose the fifth highlight that I would say for myself right now is that these days, my wife and I live in North Carolina. We moved here to be closer to our family. Love it here. And I work part-time in an orthopedic hand clinic. So I'm still seeing patients one-on-one. The rest of my time I'm spending with my coaching clients. Again, I'm learning. I'm always taking one course or another. Really, as soon as I learn something and digest it, I share the content, create content and information for you and anybody that's willing to listen to me and has interest in being healthier and having a longer, robust life. My typical routine these days is, from a health and fitness perspective, is I do strength training 3 days a week. I'm on my bike 3 to 4 days a week. Some of the time that's actually inside, because I don't ride on the road anymore. I'm just a mountain biker. So that means sometimes when trails close, as of like today, for example, as I'm recording this, it's been raining, so the trails are closed. So I'm going to get on my indoor trainer, which at one point in my life, I said I would never, ever do again. So don't really do intervals, but I do get on the indoor bike and get my zone 2 cardio in, which I will have episodes on the value of that. And my near-term goal is to grow my podcast listener base and the number of clients that are on my roster, both long-term and little one-off consults, to the point where I can meet this crazy goal, crazy idea of impacting the health span of 1 million people. So, of course, that means a lot more people are going to have to listen to my podcast, and I'm going to have to get more attention over time, but it's the process. And so I'm certainly fine settling in with a process, just like bike racing or losing weight or whatever your jam is that you're trying to do. These things take time to gain muscle and gain performance and gain attention. So whether I'm speaking into the void or whether there's more and more people are going to be listening and picking up tips, I'm going to keep putting in the work. So that is what I like to focus on. And what's cool about the podcast platforms as of now is that you, the listener, can message me directly. So most of these platforms now has a little thing at the top where you can just press that, and any message you send, I get emailed. I'm also on YouTube. For those of you if you're just listening to audio, I have this video. All my podcasts are on YouTube as well, so you can send a message or make a comment on that. So we'll see those. I am a team of one, so I am the podcast producer, editor, strategist, marketer, lighting and audio technician, and water boy, and anything else. But maybe over time, if I get a little bit of traction with this, I'll be able to maybe outsource a couple things. So that is kind of who I am in as brief blurb as I can throw out there. But I would say if you or anybody you know are looking for a VIP coaching experience and really want to hear some guidance from a nerd like me, then I would love to have a conversation. Anybody's interested in extending your health span or longevity or overcoming an injury and don't know how to get back at life, then I would love to have a conversation with you. So check out the show notes. So there's different ways to contact me or message me. And I'm in it for the long haul. So I appreciate your time listening. If you have any comments or questions or topic ideas, I would love to hear them. I'd love to research stuff and get information back out to you in a digestible, easy way to understand. So there you have it. Until next time, cheers.